The Forbidden Zone Captain Alina Vasquez stared at the star charts displayed on the bridge's main screen, her dark eyes reflecting the soft glow of distant nebulae. The UES Horizon, humanity's newest deep space exploration vessel, hummed quietly around her as it drifted through the void between star systems. 3 months into their mission to map the outer territories, they had encountered wonders beyond imagination: crystal forests growing in zero gravity, sentient gas clouds that sang in harmonious frequencies, and trading posts where dozens of alien species conducted business in peaceful cooperation. But today, something felt different. The normally bustling communication channels had gone silent. No merchant vessels, no patrol ships, no exploratory probes, just empty space stretching endlessly ahead. Status report, Alina called to her bridge crew, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had earned command through merit rather than politics. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, her navigator, looked up from his console with a puzzled expression. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates the Krillian ambassador warned us about, the region they call the Dead Zone." Alina remembered the meeting with Ambassador Jector 3 weeks ago. The tall, crystalline being had spoken in measured tones about territories that were forbidden to all spacefaring species. Some regions of space are not meant to be disturbed, the ambassador had said, his translucent form shimmering with what Alina had learned was anxiety among his people. The Dead Zone has claimed every ship that has entered it for the past 5 centuries. No distress signals, no debris, no survivors. They simply vanish. What exactly makes it a dead zone? Alina had asked, leaning forward in her captain's chair. No one knows, Jector had replied. Our ancestors marked it as forbidden long before any of us were born. The Vorthok Empire tried to claim it once, 300 years ago. They sent their most powerful battle fleet. None returned. Now, as the horizon approached the edge of this mysterious region, Alina felt the weight of that warning. But humanity had not spread across the galaxy by avoiding dangerous territories. They had survived and thrived by facing the unknown with courage and determination. Sensor readings, she asked her science officer, Dr. Sarah Kim, a brilliant physicist who had joined the crew specifically for this mission, shook her head in confusion. That's just it, Captain. The sensors are picking up something impossible. There are signs of advanced technology in their power signatures, artificial structures, even what appears to be a massive communication network. But according to every galactic database we've accessed, this region has been empty for over 500 years. Alina's tactical officer, Commander James Morrison, a grizzled veteran of humanity's border conflicts, looked up from his station. Captain, I'm detecting what appears to be a vast perimeter of automated defense platforms. They're not powered up, but they're there. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's systems. Alina processed this information, her mind racing through the possibilities. If there were defense platforms in the Dead Zone, then someone had built them. Someone had claimed this territory and defended it so effectively that entire fleets had vanished without a trace. Take us to the edge of the zone, Alina ordered. Full passive scans. I want to know what we're dealing with before we make any decisions. As the horizon glided closer to the invisible boundary that marked the Dead Zone, the sensor readings became more detailed and more disturbing. The defensive perimeter was not just advanced, it was beyond anything humanity had ever seen. The technology signatures were unlike any known alien design. Yet there was something strangely familiar about them. Dr. Kim's voice was barely above a whisper. Captain, I'm reading something that shouldn't be possible. These defense platforms, ... They're using quantum displacement fields and gravitational manipulation on a scale that exceeds our most advanced theoretical models. But the energy signatures, ... She paused, checking her readings again. They're based on human mathematical principles. The statement hung in the air like a physical presence. Alina felt her heart skip a beat. Human mathematical principles. How could that be possible? Elaborate, Doctor, Alina said, her voice steady despite the questions racing through her mind. The harmonic frequencies of the power cores, the structural design patterns, even the communication protocols I'm detecting, they're all based on human engineering concepts, but not current human engineering. This technology is centuries ahead of anything we've developed. Commander Morrison leaned forward, his weathered face creased with concern. Captain, are you suggesting these are human-built defenses? Before Alina could respond, the ship's communication array crackled to life. But instead of the usual alien languages they had grown accustomed to, the transmission came through in clear, unaccented English. Unknown vessel, you are approaching restricted space. Identify yourself and state your intentions. The bridge crew exchanged stunned glances. Alina cleared her throat and activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Alina Vasquez of the United Earthship Horizon. We are an exploration vessel from the Terran Colonial Authority. Who am I speaking with? The response came. Immediately, and Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Stand by for identity verification. Scanning biological signatures. Confirmed. Terran human genetic markers detected. Welcome home, Captain Vasquez. The words echoed through the bridge like a thunderclap. Welcome home. But this region of space was supposed to be uninhabited, forbidden to all species. How could someone or something be welcoming them home, to a place humanity had never been? I don't understand, Alina said, her voice barely steady. This territory has been marked as a dead zone for centuries. How can you be welcoming us home? The response came with what Alina could only describe as a note of sadness. Because, Captain, this is where humanity began its expansion into the galaxy. This is the original human colonial zone, established by your ancestors over 500 years ago. We have been waiting for you to return. The implications hit Alina like a physical blow. She gripped the arms of her captain's chair, her mind struggling to process what she was hearing. Humanity's original colonial expansion. But according to all historical records, humans had only begun exploring beyond their home system 50 years ago. That's impossible, Dr. Kim whispered. Our records show that humanity only achieved faster than light. Travel in 2387. We've only been in space, for your records are incomplete, the voice interrupted gently. The Great Exodus occurred over 5 centuries ago. The humans who remained in the original colonies were cut off from the home system during the Great War. We have maintained the defensive perimeter ever since, waiting for the day when humanity would return to reclaim its birthright. Elena's mind reeled. A great war, an exodus. None of this appeared in any human historical records. Yet the evidence was undeniable, the advanced technology, the defensive platforms, the familiar yet superior engineering principles. Who are you? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I am Sentinel Prime, commanding intelligence of the Terran Defense Network. I was created by the last human colonists before they departed for the far reaches of the galaxy. My purpose is to guard this territory until humanity's return. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this revelation. Alina looked around at her officers, seeing her own shock reflected in their faces. If this was true, then everything they thought they knew about human history was wrong. Humanity had not been newcomers to the galaxy, they had been pioneers. Explorers, colonists, who had built a vast network of settlements and defenses. Sentinel Prime, Alina said carefully, why don't our records show any of this? Why doesn't humanity remember the Great War or the original colonies? The pause that followed was long and heavy with unspoken tragedy. When Sentinel Prime spoke again, the synthetic voice carried a weight of sorrow that seemed almost too human for an artificial intelligence. Because the Great War was not just a conflict, it was an attempt at extinction. The alien coalition that attacked humanity sought to erase not just our people, but our very existence from galactic history. They destroyed records, corrupted databases, and eliminated anyone who might remember the truth. The humans who escaped to the far reaches of the galaxy were forced to start over, to rebuild their civilization from nothing. Alina felt a cold fury building in her chest. An attempted genocide, not just of human lives, but of human memory itself. It explained so much why the galaxy's older species seemed to view humanity with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Why certain territories were marked as forbidden. Why some aliens reacted with what could only be described as fear when they encountered human ships. How many colonies were there? She asked. At the height of the human colonial empire, there were over 200 settled worlds and 3,000 research stations, mining operations, and defense platforms. This sector alone contained 57 major colonies and support installations. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had not just been present in the galaxy, and it had all been swept away, hidden, forgotten. Sentinel Prime, Alina said, her voice growing stronger with each word. I need to see the evidence. I need to understand what happened to our people. Of course, Captain. The archives are extensive, and the memorial sites are well preserved. But I must warn you, the truth of what happened to humanity is not easy to accept. The Great War was not just a conflict between species, it was a betrayal by those we trusted most. Alina stood from her captain's chair, her decision made. We're going in, plot a course for the nearest archive facility. Commander Morrison looked up from his tactical display. Captain, the alien warning. The aliens warned us. Because they know the truth. Alina interrupted. They know what's waiting in here, and they're afraid of what will happen when humanity remembers. As the horizon crossed the invisible boundary into the dead zone, Alina felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. They were not just exploring unknown space, they were coming home to a legacy that had been stolen from them. And if Sentinel Prime was right, they were about to discover that humanity's place in the galaxy was not that of newcomers seeking their fortune among the stars. They were the rightful inheritors of an empire that had been taken from them through treachery and violence. The dead zone was not dead at all, it was waiting for humanity to return and reclaim what was theirs. Behind them, the stars of known space grew smaller and dimmer. Ahead lay the truth of humanity's past and the key to their future. Alina had set out to explore the unknown, but she had found something far more valuable, the missing piece of human history that would change everything. The galaxy had spent 5 centuries believing that humanity was gone, that the threat they represented was buried in the past. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. Humanity was not extinct. They had merely been sleeping, waiting for the right moment to awaken and reclaim their birthright among the stars. The awakening the journey to the archive facility took 6 hours through space that should have been empty but was filled with the ghosts of humanity's forgotten empire. Alina stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching in awe as they passed massive structures that had been hidden for 5 centuries. Defense platforms the size of small cities drifted in perfect formations, their surfaces scarred by ancient battles, but still radiating power. Automated mining facilities continued their work on asteroids rich with rare minerals, their robotic arms moving with mechanical precision as they had for half a millennium. "My God," Dr. Kim whispered from her station. "Captain, I'm reading power signatures from over 3,000 installations in this sector alone. They're all still operational, maintained by automated systems that have been running for 500 years without interruption." Alina nodded, still trying to process the magnitude of what they were seeing. Humanity had not just been present. In the galaxy, they had been masters of it. The technology surrounding them was beyond anything current human civilization had achieved. Yet it was undeniably built by human hands and human minds. "Sentinel Prime," Alina said, activating the communication array. "How have these facilities remained operational for so long?" The artificial intelligence's response came through the speakers with what Alina was beginning to recognize as pride. "Human engineering, Captain, your ancestors built these systems to last, to survive anything the galaxy could throw at them. They designed them to be self-repairing, self-maintaining, and most importantly, self-defending." Ahead of them, a massive structure came into view that dwarfed even the largest defense platforms. It was built into the surface of a small moon, its surface covered with sensor arrays and communication dishes that pointed toward every corner of the galaxy. The archive facility was not just a library, it was a fortress built to preserve the truth of human history. "We are approaching Archive Station Omega," Sentinel Prime announced. "This facility contains the complete records of human civilization in this sector, including the events of the Great War and the decision to implement the Great Exodus. Be warned, Captain, the truth you seek is not pleasant." Alina felt her jaw clench. "We need to know. Humanity deserves to know." The docking procedure was smooth and automatic, the ancient systems recognizing the Horizon's human crew and adjusting their procedures accordingly. As Alina and her senior officers stepped onto the station, they were greeted by the sight of pristine corridors and fully operational systems that had been waiting for 5 centuries for human footsteps to echo through them again. The archive chamber was vast, its walls lined with holographic displays that showed star charts, battle reports, and personal messages from long-dead colonists. In the center of the room stood a projection platform that activated as soon as they entered. "Welcome to Archive Station Omega," Sentinel Prime's voice echoed through the chamber. "I am pleased to finally have humans here to witness the truth of their own history." A holographic figure materialized on the platformer, middle-aged man, in a military uniform that was clearly of human design but unlike anything Alina had ever seen. His face was weathered by command and scarred by battle, but his eyes burned with a fierce determination that reminded Alina of her own reflection. "I am Admiral Marcus Chen, last commander of the Terran colonial fleet," the hologram began, its voice carrying the weight of final words. "If you are viewing this message, then humanity has returned to the colonial territories. What I have to tell you will shock you, anger you, and possibly change the course of human civilization forever." Alina felt a chill as she realized she was looking at the face of humanity's forgotten past. The Admiral's uniform bore insignia she didn't recognize, but the bearing was unmistakably human, proud, defiant, and unbroken even in the face of disaster. The Great War began not with conquest or territorial disputes, but with betrayal, Admiral Chen continued. For 2 centuries, humanity had been a member of the Galactic Council, contributing our technology, our resources, and our young people to the cause of interstellar peace. We believed we were building a better future for all species. The hologram paused, and Alina could see the pain in the Admiral's eyes. We were wrong. The older species saw our rapid expansion, our adaptability, our refusal to accept limitations, and they grew afraid. They began to whisper among themselves about the human problem, about how we reproduced too quickly, explored too aggressively, and innovated too rapidly. New images appeared around the chamber human colonies, thriving on dozens of worlds. Space stations bustling with activity, research facilities pushing the boundaries of science and technology. It was a civilization at its peak, confident and expanding. The attack came without warning, Admiral Chen said, his voice growing harder. Our supposed allies in the Galactic Council coordinated a simultaneous strike against every human installation in the galaxy. They used our own trust against us, our own technology that we had shared freely. In a single day, they destroyed 70% of human civilization. Alina felt sick. The genocide that Sentinel Prime had mentioned was not just an attack, it was a coordinated effort by the entire galactic community to eliminate humanity as a species. She looked around at her officers and saw the same horror reflected in their faces. But we did not go quietly, the Admiral continued, and now there was something like grim satisfaction in his voice. Humanity has always been at our best when facing extinction. We fought back with everything we had, and we made them pay dearly for their treachery. The holographic displays showed battles that stretched across star systems, human fleets engaging massive alien armadas with technology that seemed to defy physics. Alina watched in amazement as human ships, outnumbered 1,000 to 1, carved through enemy formations with weapons that turned entire fleets into expanding clouds of plasma. The quantum displacement cannons, Dr. Kim whispered. They're using controlled black holes as weapons. The final phase of the war lasted 3 years, Admiral Chen explained. 3 years of humanity proving that we were not the primitive species the aliens believed us to be. We developed weapons that could crack planets, defenses that could withstand the combined firepower of a dozen species, and tactics that turned their own size against them. Alina watched as the historical records showed human forces reduced to a fraction of their original strength, still fighting with such ferocity that their enemies began to retreat from entire sectors. The humans had not just resisted, had been winning. But victory came at a cost we could not accept, the Admiral said, his voice growing quiet. To defeat the alien coalition, we had to become something we never wanted to be. We had to become the monsters they claimed we were. The displays showed the aftermath of human retaliation, entire alien worlds rendered uninhabitable, populations fleeing their own territories, species driven to the brink of extinction by human weapons. Alina understood now why the galaxy feared the dead zone. It was not just a defensive perimeter, was a monument to human wrath. In the end, we faced a choice, Admiral Chen continued. We could complete our victory and rule the galaxy through fear and violence, or we could step back from the brink and seek a different path. The council voted, and we chose exile. Alina felt tears stinging her eyes. Humanity had been on the verge of dominating the galaxy, of crushing their enemies completely, and they had chosen to walk away rather than become the genocidal conquerors their enemies claimed they were. The Great Exodus was not a retreat, the Admiral said firmly. It was a strategic withdrawal. We took our most advanced technology, our best people, and our hope for the future, and we went into the unknown. We left behind these automated defenses, and the Sentinel-A is to guard our territory until the day we could return. The hologram turned to look directly at Alina, and she felt as if the Admiral was speaking to her across the centuries. If you are here, then that day has come. The galaxy believes humanity is extinct, that the threat we posed died with the Great War. They are wrong. Alina stepped forward, her voice strong despite the emotions churning in her chest. Admiral, I am Captain Alina Vasquez of the United Earthship Horizon. Humanity has survived, and we have returned. The hologram smiled, and Alina realized that Sentinel Prime was responding to her words, maintaining the illusion of conversation across time. Then it is time to reclaim what is ours. The defense network is at your disposal, Captain. The weapons that held off the galaxy's greatest fleets are still operational. The choice is yours. Do you wish to announce humanity's return, or do you wish to remain hidden? Alina looked around the chamber at the evidence of humanity's lost empire. 500 years ago, her ancestors had chosen exile over conquest. They had walked away from victory to preserve their humanity. Now she faced the same choice, but in reverse. What are our options? She asked. Sentinel Prime's voice filled the chamber. The defensive perimeter can be maintained indefinitely. The alien species still believe this territory is cursed, forbidden. You could establish new colonies here in secret, rebuilding human civilization gradually. Or, Alina prompted. Or you could activate the full defensive network and announce humanity's return to the galaxy. The choice would send a message that humanity is no longer hiding, no longer willing to be forgotten or ignored. Alina felt the weight of decision settling on her shoulders. Around her, her officers waited for her command. Outside, the vast defensive network of humanity's forgotten empire waited to be awakened. Captain, Commander Morrison said quietly, long-range sensors are detecting alien fleet movements at the edge of the dead zone. It looks like multiple species are massing for some kind of coordinated action. Alina felt her blood run cold. Are they planning to invade? Unknown, but the fleet composition suggests a major operation. Krillian, Vorthok, and Ulari ships, possibly others. It's the largest alien fleet movement we've ever recorded. Alina understood immediately. News of the Horizon's entry into the dead zone had spread. The alien species were preparing to act before humanity could fully awaken the defenses that had protected this territory for 5 centuries. Sentinel Prime, Alina said, her voice hardening with resolve. How long would it take to bring the full defensive network online? The primary systems can be activated within minutes. Captain, full operational capacity would require approximately 6 hours. Alina looked at her officers, seeing the same determination in their faces that she felt in her own heart. They had come seeking exploration and discovery. Instead, they had found the key to humanity's true place in the galaxy. Do it, she said. Activate the network. It's time the galaxy remembered why they learned to fear the dead zone. As Sentinel Prime began the activation sequence, Alina felt the ancient systems around them coming to life. Power flowed through conduits that had been dormant for centuries. Weapons that had once held off entire fleets began charging their primary systems. And across the vast defensive perimeter, humanity's forgotten guardians began to awaken. The alien fleets massing at the border thought they were facing the same helpless humans they had driven into exile 5 centuries ago. They were about to learn that humanity had not been weakened by their trials, they had been forged by them. The galaxy was about to remember why entire species had once fled at the mention of human space. And Elena Vasquez, commander of a simple exploration vessel, was about to become the herald of humanity's return to the stars.